Hello, Professor. My name is XieQiyao, and here is my assignment 3. This is a TED Talk. Let me take you back to the 1980s when I grew up as a kid in the 1980s, and what used to be Western Germany's Sizable Software in Cooperations had a campaign going on. Okay, and that campaign was one by which they were stamping little pictures underneath the lids of their soft drink bottles. Okay, and you would have to fill them out. Then you would get the picture and you would stick it on the poster. And of course, the whole purpose of this exercise was to get the collection complete right. So what we were doing with a friend of mine at the time, and I was said, okay, fine, let's run a little business and let's try to get into every soft drink shop that we can get into, fill out the pictures, and then we sell them to other collectors, right? That was the whole idea. Lots of things went wrong. Some of them are so embarrassing and I don't want to share them, but the one thing I can share with you is we never sold a single picture, not a single one. And as a matter of fact, it took me years and sleepless nights to figure out that my school friends were simply not as enthusiastic about them as I was, that we are not willing to put up years of pocket money for a collection of little pictures. And anyhow, so irregularly, and the only transaction of a fatal picture I would have almost gotten involved with was 3 days ago, when I realized that my mother had them thrown all away, and I wanted to bring you one for this presentation was auctioning on eBay. It was about €100, and I decided that's too much. Okay, so I didn't bring you the original, and I didn't buy that one, so I was it anyhow. So that failure picture organization, of course, is just an example for trying to make you understand why certain things go wrong. Of course, at the surface what we had gotten wrong was the pricing, and yes, we completely overpriced because there was no person in this organization thinking about what a customer wanted, what she was willing to pay, and so forth. Because as for we were our bosses, okay, doing great things, discussion, the vision of the company, the logo, or whatever else was job titles and so forth, but it had nothing to do with selling photo pictures. And what we had created was an organization actually that was a boat full of campaigns with no sellers. Okay, and that boat full of campaigns with no sellers is something that you encounter quite often when you see that organizations fail, and there are various reasons for this. Not like to go through some of those reasons with you, and of course you have to distinguish between people who make these mistakes, kids, as we were at the time, okay, or laymen. When they approach the running an organization and managing things, I believe faced problem number one. And problem number one goes back to the fact that whenever we think of great human achievements, okay, we tend to think of human individual achievements. So let me just know within this beautiful playing setup here, and true to the motto of the day, aiming high, recall that if you think of the first person who made it to the Mount Everest, of course you are thinking of Sir Hillary, okay, equally famous in Austrian perhaps, and also mind-boggling, of course, if you think of a skydiver jumping from the space. Who do you think of 2020 of course you would think of Felix Bangerter. Now, admittedly, these are individuals who are pushing the envelopes with their disciplines like no other outstanding individuals. But I think we are not diminishing any of their accomplishments if we admit to the fact that that would not have been possible without the organizations that surrounded them. So in the case of Hillary, of course, the most famous wingman, his right hand was Tenzin Norgay. But let's not forget about dozens of other shapers helping him up to the summit. And in the case of Bangater, 6 seasoned professionals, one of them a record-breaking skydiver himself, and then myriad of other helpers. Now one thing is pretty clear, right? If within these two organizations, everybody would have wanted to be the first man on Mount Everest or jump from space, him or herself, that would not have worked. Because again, you would have ended up with that boat full of captains and no sailors. So that do these organizations get right that other organizations get wrong? So for that, we need to talk about organizations a bit more detail, because organizations, as a matter of fact, they are not just some randomly assembled teams of people and so forth. They are very specific animals. Yes, they are what we call multi-person systems. Basically means several people working together, and that's important, these people do have individually different intensities but joint commit to a common goal. Now I bet all of you are the members of at least two organizations. The first one being your family and the second one being your workplace. The second one being your workplace. And why is your family a family? Well, very simple. There is a mom, dad, and the kids, and they all think different things at a given point in time. So watch TV, eat pizza, and so forth. But then sometimes they do get their act together and they go on a joint vacation, maybe so even build a house together.